Now your bubbles aren't going to come out as easy, but don't over torch it still. Just take your time and come back and work it again. Simple. It's not terrible. It's just really simple.
I wouldn't recommend torching it just yet because we're still waiting on the pearl.
Don't ever do this. Hold on. Hit it again. Yeah. Thank you guys for your input, all the help you've done mixing too, by the way. No, you guys are doing great. Even though you really fucked us up right here. We all lived through today. Dom didn't know what he had to do tomorrow anyways, but now he does. Oh yeah, I forgot to say during the intro, don't come before 9 o'clock in the morning. We have super kind people that like to show up at like 7 and help. We don't let you in the building. So, and that was not about you. We just can't have people in the building at any time they want to. So we're pretty picky. The 9 to 4 thing. At 4 we got to be out because we have a lot of work to do other than what we're doing with you guys. We usually have one really old cool guy that's like, hey, can I do woodwork in the back room with you? Nope. I know you'd like to go in the back room with me, but nope. That's it, right? Yeah. You're good to go. I'll just kind of try to put it out of the way of the other. I guess that's it. Is that good up here? I'll just leave it separated enough. Now we'll see who she steals from first.
I know.
Which pile? Yeah, it'll work out well. I think these veins actually turned out really cool. Yeah. Anybody need more? You didn't get none? Oh, geez, you're off here by yourself. That's what happens when you're this beautiful. The fuck happened here? Wow. That's exciting. There's some interesting things here.
Hey Levi, can you check that your mic's working or that it's connected? Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I might have turned it off too accidentally. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, it's on? Is the connection?
Testing, testing. I bet it went off the sync.
I'll take a look. I'll go take a look. Thank you. Good. How are you? Good. How are you, Kelsey? I'm good. How are you? Busy day, kinda. Is it working, Carla? Hello?
Yeah, I'll ask Rachel to give me info on when stuff's gonna ship out, and then I'll write an email about that.
Okay, thank you.
Because I don't know anything about
So
it
the
right now,
connection
so I'll
is fine.
Yeah, you might just ask her, but
Okay.
I just kind of feel like
Testing.
It's fine. I will just grab whatever all we have.
just let
This
Ethan
is
write it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Testing.
Carla, Ethan's gonna write it. Not that.
I don't know. As long he has it on, it was very choppy, and I thought he was like
It's
talking
fine on
weird.
YouTube right now.
Oh, it's fine on
Yeah.
YouTube? Okay,
Yeah, check your
alright.
Facebook.
I think it was just the connection. when
Okay, I'll make
got
sure it's
bad.
not
Yeah,
too
it's
tight.
good. But
Thank
it was
you.
like before you went to talk to him, it fixed itself, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what was going on with that.
Carla.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't want to trash your stuff.
You're fine. Whatever it was, it fixed itself.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Just doesn't like me. He wasn't saying anything important.
Choppy on the live.
Testing, testing. So if y'all noticed, we just had another little fire. We've had two. That's not normal to have two in one day. And that's a tiny class. We have 60 people in here at a time. There's 14 of you, so let's try not to have another one soon. If you have any questions, if you have alcohol, just let one of us know and we'll come look at it with you. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just watch. If you have any question, if you're wondering if there's something down, just ask. We'll come help you out with it. I've started fires too. I don't know. Just use hers. I don't know. There's not a lot to do once you have a fire extinguisher on it. No, not at all yet. I was glad you got it like that, even though.
Well, it looked like the table wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, we can't have that. That would be a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You want to go look at hers? She's wanting to know something. Yeah, definitely don't touch that old Pearl, guys. The stuff that sat during lunch. I took my kids to Wales at least exactly 1 year ago for Thanksgiving. They loved that. Yeah, I took them to London, and then we drove to Stonehenge and Wales, and just Kent, looked at some castles, and it was just a lot of fun. They loved it. Just Wales and a little bit into like northern Wales and back down through there. We were driving by that time, and I was just trying to get back to London by night. So it was a long drive. Especially there was trout. They were doing all that protesting, the climate people, trying to block down the intersections. I don't understand that. That was so ignorant. I had a lot of fun, though. They loved it. My kids thought that was the most fun they've ever had. The two that I took were at the time 7 and 9. We actually did the Eiffel Tower on Thanksgiving Day. Told them we were going to hang an American flag off the side. My kids got all excited, but I didn't let them do it. Yeah. Hot. Hot. Just because usually once you're decent at the process, you have all the time you want to manipulate it, and then you're getting bored wanting to get to the finished project.
Are all yours just sinking?
Yeah. I torched it heavy though because there was too much white.
yours have some of the unmixed in it?
No, none of it.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm done. Mine's got messed with too much.
Are you humming?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I was like, I hear something, but I don't know if it's coming.
That was me. I mean, Christmas songs. I'm about the last person to do that, but I do it.
Last night I went on like a Christmas movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Movie or music?
movie.
What'd you watch?
I watched like Elf
Oh, that's good
and
though.
Christmas with the Cranks.
That's good.
Well, because Disney Plus has all of it. Like, they have so many. Do you got Disney Plus? She's very nice. Yeah.
What?
Because they put two bees on there. Why two? They
Oh,
grabbed-
that's why we
they
lost it
grabbed
all.
Yeah, they grabbed two of the A's.
How? Where did they grab them?
So we had one on there, and then when they switched to do their mixing, they were separated.
And they came over and brought it?
Yep.
Okay, but we had an AB on
Yep.
each table.
We had
Okay.
an A and B on this table and on this table.
That's why, okay. This is gonna be a fucking mess, Dom. We're gonna have to throw away a lot of stuff tomorrow morning. Sorry about that.
I was wondering why your thing looked like an oil spill.
Yeah, as soon as I came over. As soon as you see it dripped like that, you know, because if it was hot and then got cool and it was mixed right, it would have stopped way before it spilt all over like that.
When I came over, I was just messing with it, like, whoa, there's no way.
Uh-huh. That turned out okay.
Yeah, I think it looks real cool. What page did I swipe to?
Yeah, I think it did turn out okay.
Probably got top.
Sarah's got a butthole in the middle of her piece. An anarchy sign and a butthole.
Yeah, no.
Actually, it looks really good, Sarah. Minus all the converging lines, which is so hard to do away with. It actually looks pretty. It still looks very good and very savable. And this lady's trying to do white marble. I'm just trying to be critical.
They were too
They look pretty good. When you torch it, it'll sink a lot of them.
I tried, but I didn't want to.
You have a lot of alcohol down right now, huh? Yeah.
I'll stop touching it. I'll torch this.
No, you're fine. And I might have enough up there for you to steal stuff from me if you need to.
I came up to you and I was like, can I take this? And you're.
Oh, we did? McNiggins.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, take it.
Yes.
Okay.
Tucker is doing good. No, you keep going with it. You just go all the way across. All right, when you finish up your sample, we'll meet in that classroom again. So just kind of finish up whatever you're doing. Leo will make sure you don't start a fire.
I didn't go too crazy on this though.
That's really nice and clean. That's good. start out with a Formica countertop. What do you guys call this over in the UK? Laminate, Formica. So, okay, cool. Who here would like to coat a Formica countertop? Okay, while it can be done, one of the biggest things I believe in is perceived value. A customer's perception of value has more to do with how much money you'll make than what you put on the countertops, and that's a fact. So if you're doing something that is perceived as a low value, no matter how good you do at it, they're gonna think that, well, it's just a shitty job, it's not worth money. Who here has seen spray coatings on countertops lately? I'm sure you guys see it, right? They'll spray tile surrounds, like shower surrounds, countertops, everything, right? Who has ever looked at that? Has any of you ever seen a Formica countertop done with a spray coating system? Did you look at it and say, like, that's pretty classy, I'd pay 65 bucks a square foot to do that?
That's what we have in our house too.
Yeah, exactly, and it's bullshit. So I'm just kidding. So, but really, I mean, you look at that, and I don't care what effort went into it. You know that's a Formica countertop that's coated. It immediately loses all its value. So, who's ever dated a girl or a boy, and then dated a new girl or boy, and you didn't want to share what you did, the creepy stuff, freaky stuff, with the last one? Anybody? I feel like you coat this, and this is like a dude being like, oh, she totally was into that. Like, your new girlfriend doesn't want to know that, so don't talk about it. So this right there, don't talk about it. We don't do Formica countertops. For starters, you got a gap. Even after you cut this off, you're going to have to spend more time filling this, whatever the hell. You're going to have to spend more time filling that gap between the wall and the finished countertop. Then you're going to have exposed MDF or particle out here far into the countertop. So you're going to have more, it's going to take you longer to cut this, put a piece of filler strip in here, bondo this up against the wall, sand it multiple times, and then get a coating on there to match it all the way across. Then if you were to pull this Formica off, cut new, and just do fresh countertops. Otherwise, what I would just say is don't charge them anything, tell them not to ever talk about your name or who did it, and just coat directly over, up and over. If you want to do that, good. Obviously, we make money if you do it. I just think it loses your money when you try to bid the job that's not coating over Formica, because as soon as all your customer base views it as a cheap coating, you start losing your credibility and your ability to actually bid jobs at a higher cost. So I'm very against this, my personal belief. Who has ever built new countertops? Anybody? Okay. Anybody ever been to Lowe's or Home Depot? How much is MDF, medium density fiberboard? Yeah. It's about 38 bucks a foot where you're at. It's about $32 here, and it's about $29, $30 up in Montana. It's made in the Midwest, or the Northwest. It gets more pricey the farther from the Northwest you get. Still, you're thinking the most expensive sheet you ever get, it's about $1.20 a square foot. That's nothing when you have to factor that into building new. So when you really start doing your math, it's cheaper for you to build new. The other thing I would recommend doing, tear all this out, separate your sink, pull your angle stops, shut your sink off, make sure it's shut off, pull all your screws out of the corners. That's how they hold Formica down. Get it out of there and go down to Home Depot or Lowe's. They have a panel saw there. A panel saw cuts very straight cuts every time. You have them run you down, say, hey, I need 25 inches or 25 and a half, because your front face of your cabinets from here to your wall on all kitchen countertops that are, as long as they're standard and not built after the fact, is an average of 24 inches from here to the front face frame. So if you cut these 25 and a half, you're going to be out past your 3/4 inch drawer with a proper drip edge. Does that make sense? Even if you lose that whole other half of the sheet, you're looking at $2 per square foot. It's way cheaper to drop 2 or even 4 if you double them up, dollars per square foot, than try to add value to something like this. Because I bet you're going to be building new for 45, 55, 65, 75, depending on square footage and area. You're bidding that for 20. So you lose. I see this class gets filled with people coming back to class after class after class, and what I always see is guys telling me you cannot bid at 55, 65 bucks a foot where I'm from. You just can't do it. And then you see their processes like that, and I'm like, the reason you can't is you're doing bullshit and there's in your customer's territory. So you're going in and bidding low-end stuff and telling me you can't bid a lot. Of course you can't bid very much because your perceived value is totally blown out. If all they think you do is some cheap-ass coatings over Formica, you're not going to be bidding that. Now, say that edge is all the way up to the back, because you've all seen how they build laminate where they'll run it all the way to the wall, set tile on top, And a lot of times this, instead of being a built-in rolled edge, it's usually cut flush and then they put a piece of trim on here, right? If they don't want a different profile, that's perfect to go directly over the top. But when you're bidding the job, you just talk to the customer about doing what's best on their property. Do you want a different profile? Do you want a different edge profile? Do you want, does your bar where people are sitting at, does it only come out 8 inches and they'd like it to go 16 so they have a proper It costs you $4 a foot to do something different for the customer, but you can offer them a lot of options that are very high perceived. They're going to have to call a granite guy, a quartz guy, Corian, some solid surface guy, right? So your competitors are going to have to tear that off, right? And if your competitors are the spray coating guys, do you really want that customer base? I wouldn't want it. Just go fucking have fun with it. So, because they'll make no money and I will. So, the other thing is, did I skip one? Nope. Tile countertops. So, who here has thought about going over tile? I believe that now everybody's afraid to raise their hand. I think that's an incredible time to go over this, because think about that, to go over an existing product. Think about this. Who here has actually tore out tile on countertops? How much fun did you have? And you're hoping you don't shred this face frame and separate it from that piece of plywood. So most commonly, you have a piece of plywood shot down to the face frame, screwed straight into your cabinet face frame, right? And then caulked and bonded and whatever else to your wall. Usually you have corner blocks in your cabinets that's screwed down to them. Then you mud set a piece of backer board, mud set your tile. So if you can pull your tile off, then expose the screws, that you can pull your backer off your plywood, then you expose your plywood screws. Well, guess what all the moisture in the mortar does? Moisture in the mortar rusts the cheap screw heads off that are holding all this together. So you usually pop the screw head off, but the threads that are still bonding the two sheets or the sheet to your the cabinets, the threads in that screw are still well intact, and you're gonna destroy this the cabinet face frame trying to pull that piece of 3/4 inch plywood off. Does that make sense? The other thing is, how wide is a sheet of plywood? How many inches?
48.
Yeah. And how far is your face frame from your wall? 24. What's half of 48? 24. So they end up with never getting a proper drip edge because they cut their sheet in half and they only have a perfect 24 inches here. Does that make sense? So then they end up like here. Actually, it should usually go down like this. They're usually shooting a piece of trim or whatnot right to the front edge. That's one style. We have another style we'll show you. In this situation, you generally end up, they're usually putting a 3/4 inch piece of trim on here. This is not drawn correctly, just so you know. This is not correctly drawn. You usually have a 3/4 inch piece of trim that is the exact same thickness sticking out as your drawer face, right? So your drawer face is also 3/4 of an inch thick, so you don't get your proper overhang for drip edge, right? What can you do here to fix that? You go down to the store and you get whatever piece of trim or molding you want with whatever edge profile on it you want, and you shoot it with an 18 or 16 gauge nailer straight into your existing trim. I would shoot trim to trim on this one. And now you have whatever drip edge. What I would do is I would run caulking between my two pieces of trim so that it's totally sealed. I would not use silicone because nothing sticks to silicone. If you get silicone stuck out on top and you have to try to wipe it and clean it up, even if you do an alcohol cleanup, has anyone ever actually done an alcohol cleanup? You end up sealing the surface. It looks perfectly clean. You try to put something on top, nothing sticks, right? So make sure you don't use silicone. Use a paintable caulking, DAP, something like that. Run a bead here between your two sheets. And you'll end up being completely watertight. You may also run some clear DAP right here in the crack in the existing, because often that mortar, they just used a regular sanded grout in there, and as you know, sanded grout's not waterproof. They trowel it in there, and epoxy, if water pours between it, epoxy will too, and eventually the epoxy will seep right through here before it's cured and drip right in. Hopefully this is taped off well enough, but it has much more of a tendency to try to get in your drawers or ruin a face frame on a cabinet. So be very careful, just make sure your drip edges are very sealed. So I seal all that. I usually shoot this on about a 1/16 of an inch high. You're not trying to go a quarter. You don't want to pour a ton of epoxy, right? You're just trying to bump it up high enough to where you can float directly across the face. Now, if you're bidding on this job, you're probably the only guy that's been to the house that's excited about it. The granite guy is not excited about this. I did over 1,000 granite countertops, and when I walked in and saw tile, I was really excited the very first time, and maybe the second time I thought it was going to be different. The 100th time, I knew the last 98 times I just didn't fucking do it because I didn't want to be a finished carpenter because I always damage something on here where I'm trying to faux in with wax and all kinds of shit to make their cabinets good enough again so I can even set something on top. You are taking and floating across the top here, filling in all the grout lines and creating a profile. All you're trying to do is get this very perfectly flat. So I'm shooting this piece of trim in about a 1/16 of an inch high, higher than your highest tile, because we all know on real countertops they're not all flat like this one, right? You have all this wonkiness going on. I would use 5 or 20 or 45, it doesn't really matter which one. Fast mud, hot mud, fast setting, joint compound, whatever you want to call it, whoever sells it at your store. But if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can get a 20-pound bag for $8. It's powder, it's white. Do not mix it with water, mix it with your epoxy. So don't mix it with water, mix it with your epoxy. And don't mix it with water and then epoxy, just powder into epoxy. What you can do is you can double your volume. So for 2 gallons of epoxy total mix to float this in, you mix 1 gallon of epoxy and you can add approximately 1 gallon as a 1-to-1 ratio with fully mixed epoxy to another 1 gallon of worth of product. So your second gallon, instead of it costing you $100, costs you about $4. So it's a very cheap way to get aggregate and filler so that you can fill in all the grout joints here. What happens if you poured epoxy here is all the epoxy would seep down into your grout, through your grout joints, and you'd end up with the exact same divot you had before. Exactly the same. If you put the gypsum powder in there, about a 1-to-1 ratio consistency, you're always still mixing the epoxy the same, but then you add the gypsum. If you do that, even though the epoxy kind of flows into there, it leaves all that gypsum on top, so you have a very smooth profile that's bonded very well underneath the tile. Does that make sense? So really cheap way to volumize it. Once you get this flat, it should be a very quick, easy process. And the only thing I would say is mix less than more. It'd be better to mix a half a quart and then put another half a quart of gypsum and see how far you get. And what I generally do is I'll run a small volume across my countertops, see how far I got, and then I can kind of calculate how much I should mix on my second mix, depending on how much I was filling. But what I've done a ton of times, because moderation's for cowards, is you go ahead and you grab a 4-gallon bucket. And I remember my very first time I did this, it was a big countertop, and I poured about 4 gallons of product out all the way across my countertop, and I scraped about 3.5 gallons right back into that bucket and threw it out. So, because it was way more than I ever needed for what I was doing. So what is amazing about this is you can still completely encapsulate this tile. Nobody ever knows it's tile, but you're the only person that came out and wasn't scared of it. Your granite guy is going to be charging a shit ton to tear this tile off, and you're about the only guy that can make it look nice. There's not really any options they have except you to make it look nice and be very non-invasive. We all know, no, I've never seen one that looks like a dog's bone, but there's usually these drip edge tile like so that are also shot on. I see them on the coast a lot, in California, a lot of older tile guys, they would shoot the tile across the front, and instead of putting a piece of trim in, they would have this odd piece of tile as a drip edge. Has anyone ever seen those? And they're always falling off. The reason they fall off so easy is they usually just pack these on with the same mortar you put your tile down with. And that's a temperature transition there. You have it expansion and contraction happening a certain direction here, and now it's happening in opposite direction in the same bond. So it usually pops these completely off, and if it doesn't pop them right off, I have never seen a situation where you can't throw a piece of cardboard down here on the floor and then knock these off with a mallet, try to catch it, throw them in a bucket. The reason for the cardboard is to answer the number one question that I get. How do I fix carpet that has epoxy in it? How do you fix it? Sarah knows. Don't get epoxy in your carpet, dumbass, and just say it just like that too. So if you don't want to fix, how do I fix the chipped tile? Because I chipped this one, knocked it off, it landed here and chipped the tile. How do I fix it? Don't be an idiot. Don't chip their tile. If you don't want to do a job you're not getting paid for, don't damage the job you're not getting paid for. So I throw a piece of cardboard down, kick it along, tap them off. I bet you could remove 99% of kitchens in 5 minutes by just taking a little mallet and knocking all these off. That leaves a bit of a void here. But what you still have is that piece of plywood. Almost every time you have plywood or something that you can shoot to. Now you get whatever piece of trim you want, and you obviously make sure what your drawer spacing is. If you have a European drawer spacing, which means your drawers are way up high here for zero clearance, be very careful to your profile and what size of trim you put in. If you need to, cut the trim down so it's a perfect height. What you're going to want to do is shoot that trim on here, right? Just high enough to do the exact same slurry coat. Does that make sense? Now, if you want a thicker piece of trim, because let's say your drawer face is 3/4 of an inch, and you want to have a full inch face or something like that, so you have a proper overhang going a little wider than your drawer face. Does that make sense? Use casing or something like that. The other thing that most people don't realize is almost every town I've ever been in has access to or does have their own custom trim shop where they'll cut any kind of molding you want. And you'll tell them, hey, I want an 1.25 inch thick. I want a waterfall edge profile, whatever you want. And it's really cool. You can get a custom piece cut to whatever you want. If I was going to do this for myself as a business and I was starting a business in a town, I'd go find a guy, find what type of profiles he had that looked good. And I'd cut myself 200-300 linear feet of each one and show off each one at a home show. So you can say, hey, I cut these 3 edge profiles. Don't offer your customers a million of everything or they'll never choose anything. So there we are. All right, who knows how to measure? Prove it to me with calculators right now. Tell me how many square feet we have in this kitchen. Yeah. These are inches by inches. All these are 25 deep right here. And then you can see where it goes to 36 on the peninsula. I'm doing the math with you guys. Who's done?
You need the square feet?
Mm-hmm. How many? Right on. Who's still figuring it out? You guys want a really easy way to do this? Will you all get your calculators out? Follow along, do this as I say. You know that this width is different than all these widths, right? So now run 108 plus 96. What do you have? What's that? Times 36. What's that? Divided by 144, because there's that he just got square inches, 7,300 square inches. What's that? He divided by 51. He divided by 144 because there's 144 square inches on a square foot. So I take all like widths of countertops. You said 51, sorry. That's a 5 and a 1, since I can't draw. So you got 51 square feet here. Then do 120 plus 60 plus 42. 120, 120, I don't know. Was that good Spanish? You guys speak Spanish, right? Times 25 divided by 144. 38.54 plus 51. 89 point something, right? Yeah. So 89. So all like measurements, run all inches or all feet. I see a lot of people, they'll measure out jobs and they measure some by inches, some are like 4 foot 3 inches, sometimes they do 5.5 feet. You've seen that, I'm sure. And you're like, either run everything in inches or everything in feet. If you're in here and you're running it all in feet, that's fine. Do like 2.1 on everything because you're 25 inches and you got your front edge profile. But run everything exactly the same so you can do your math quickly. And it's easiest just to do inches to me personally, and then divide by 144 off your square inches. So it makes it really fast. Now, what's my square footage of backsplash in here? I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and if you don't have any clue, let me know, and I'll explain to you how a simple way. Because who's ever been at a customer's house, and you say, hey, would you like your backsplash done? No. And then they call you back later and say, hey, I'd like you to do the backsplash. Has anyone ever seen that happen, that similar with other jobs? I've been in thousands of bids, and I've had some woman tell me she is not interested in some aspect of what I'd like to do at her house. And then later she calls you back and says yes. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to be the person measuring what she told me not to measure right in front of her. So I'm like, I just know how I would get the square footage later, and it'd be really simple.
The 285 inches?
Mm-mm. Who knows the square footage?
I just go by linear footage, and usually you're 17 inches from the countertop to the
That's pretty close.
cabinet. You go 18, it goes
What's your square footage? 7 square feet? That's off quite a bit. Man, I had a lot of faith in you because you eyeballed the first one and you were so close. Yeah, so usually your upper cabinets per code are 18 inches off your lower cabinets or your lower countertops, right? So you got countertops, you have 18 inches, which is 1.5 feet, however you want to do it, right? So you have, let's just do this together. It's really simple. You have 42 inches of wall, then you have a stove. What do you got at your stove? 30 inches on a standard stove, right? Then you go up 60, but think about this. We're measuring square footage of countertop. You get an additional 24 inches on your wall, right? And then you run this 36 because it's still wall right here, right? So you're 36 plus 120 plus 24 plus 60 plus 30 plus 42. Did anybody do that?
I didn't do the stove.
I don't care about the stove because stove usually goes a tiny bit higher, window goes a little bit lower. I just equal those two out. And this is so that you can bid and make a good profit in the customer's home and not have to drive 2 hours back out to a job to measure something. So when I bid this job, I would usually throw my tape down here and leave it on my backsplash, ran out, snap my photos with my tape. You can zoom in with 20 megapixels or even 8 when I used to bid everything. I could zoom in and know how many feet each section was. You can figure out a lot of stuff in a customer's house based on leaving that tape for your initial pictures. And it's free. It's fucking digital photography. So, but you also know that I already have this measurement because it's the width of my peninsula. Down here, I already have this measurement because it's additional, whatever my drop or the width of my countertop. So I already know I have to add another 24 here. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. I know I already have this 60, 30, because I know it's a standard stove, not some huge different Wolf Range or something like that. But think about this. Most of your bigger stoves, I've had people be like, I have a 36-inch cooktop. Yeah, good for you. So do I. Guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. It's a cooktop. It goes in a countertop. You didn't need any additional, you don't have a slide-in that's 36 inches wide, right? If it's a slide-in range, you know that that's 30 inches. And say it was 36 inches. Woo, you lost 6 inches on your bid. I hope you didn't lose sleep or your whole company over 6 inches. So I know some dudes that have lost a lot over 6 inches, so. Don't even know what I just did there. Fresh again, though. I didn't even have to erase it. So you got 39 square feet of backsplash. So you run all these together, right? Add them all up. times 18, because you have 18 inches from your countertops to your upper cabinets, and you end up with like 5,000 something. Divide that by 144, and you end up with 39 square feet, correct? So it's really easy to run this, and you just saved yourself 2 hours from driving out to a job site. So any questions on measuring jobs? Again, guys, one thing I want to encourage is ask questions in class, because a lot of people will wait till 4 o'clock and class is over, and they're like, hey, what's my mix ratio? Pay attention tomorrow, because class time's from 9 to 4, and I will answer some questions, but I think last time on Monday, I bet I had 32 questions after 4 o'clock, and I'm like, these are all good classroom questions. So you look dumber waiting until 4 than had you asked it in front of people, because now I'm really busy. And then I have 2 little kids, and I have to not see my kids for another hour. So, and my kids have a little Christmas program, and so I got to go pretend they're cute and watch this program with them tonight. So my kids are actually really cute. So, all right.
So, you know, when you go over,
203. We're going to do one more sample. So
so you say you get your total on this, do you go over percentage or like cuts or whatever, you know, or?
a lot. He has a good question. Do we like average a percentage? I don't know. I mean, I know I usually added whatever I thought I should, but that's.
Go over a little bit over, like five.
I mean, I think everybody should run 10%, 20% extra, but I'm usually going to coat on this whole entire countertop, and then I'm going to coat it again. So I'm going to run a clear, adding whatever accent colors I need to.
Because they always tell us it's better to have than to add, better to add.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never show up with to a job, and even if I bid with a 10% overage, I'd probably show up with twice as much product in case I make a dumb mistake. I mean, who knows? I might show up with a worker that mixes a part A and a part A.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
That would only be on Monday. They would never show up on Tuesday. I'm kidding. They'd be the most. What happens when you have a lot of workers, right? What happens when they fuck something up? And I've had them be like, and they're like, I should quit. And you're like, please don't quit. I just spent money training you. Now you know more than the guy that hasn't made the mistake. So
This may be a dumb question, but
probably not.
it's a standard depth. We're pouring this epoxy on. Does it always go to the same depth?
I always run approximately, because if you're running over 1/8 of an inch, much over that, say 100 mils is an easy, 100 mils thick is an easy average for us to run. 100 mils is going to be 15 square feet per gallon, and that's something we go over in pretty great detail throughout the class. So if you say ran 200 mils thick, you'd be losing at least 50 mils right off the front face, because it would self-level and pour right off the face. If you ran 80 mils thick, you're going to have fisheyes and spots, because it's so thin that you're going to have little divots that no matter what you do, they're just not filling back in. 100 mils is thick enough, you're not wasting any product from it just flowing off over the face when it self-levels, and it's self-leveling enough to fill any divots. The one thing I notice is a lot of people will use cheap and different epoxies. They never get their edges right. Getting an edge right has a lot to do with the proper viscosity of product, proper temperature of product, mixing, temperature of the job site, and having enough on the top to where when it flows off, there's enough for it to continue flowing over, but then set up before it's all flowed off and exposes that edge again. And a lot of that's just viscosity. So who wants to do one more sample today? Okay.
So what's the best ambient temperature?
70 to 75 is what I almost always run, no matter what. If my customers aren't in the house, I turn it 75, and when they leave, I turn it to 90 or as hot as their thermostat will go. So 70 to 75. So even though, say, you get a little more experience and you can let it get up to 90 to 100, I even run mine 100 degrees a lot. Even though it's okay for it to get 100, especially with a clear, you don't have a lot of time, but you don't need it because you're running a clear coat, so you're not manipulating it for 2 hours. I still notice that it can take off on you so quick, even if you're experienced. One little bump happens, some masking pulls, you're trying to fix something for 2 seconds, but I've started my product mix at say 90, 95 degrees, and you have such a short period of time to get it mixed properly and spread and down, to where if there's any little bump in your job site, you're like, oh shit. Whereas when you're mixing larger volumes on a real job, if you start out at say 75, even 80 degrees, you're not wasting a lot of time because you're mixing it's 4 gallons going down anyways, and then switching buckets and drill mixing again. So usually just leaving it at a regular 75 degrees is smart. So, yeah. And like I say, you can always just, if you don't want a ton of playtime, just let it warm up a little bit hotter. But remember, dude, don't walk away from it. I would not walk away from my mix, and if I did, I'd set a timer to get me back in 10 minutes or something, because you come back in 15 minutes instead of 10, you're 114 degrees, and it cools off when it hits the countertop, and you really can't get it to self-level and flow like you want to, or even worse, it doesn't release the air bubbles because it's setting up too much. So it's good to get it 100 degrees even. I'd start out 90 until I feel really comfortable with that, then start running 100, 105 at the most ever. Don't ever push that boundary because, I mean, it's so easy at that point to accidentally be 120 and it's just too hot to work with and you're not going to get it back. So, all right, let's go do one more. We're going to do a soapstone, very similar technique, but I want you guys to really grasp this. And all these can get sanded on on Thursday. And I want you to do anything that needs to get sanded today and tomorrow so it has time to cure so that we can sand it properly. If we sand too soon, it ends up kind of being too soft and it kind of rubs everything around. It doesn't really cut it very nicely. You having any fun?
Yep.
How are you?
I am.
Since you answer so many questions every day, I was hoping you do.
Yeah, no,
Let me know if
hearing
there's.
the way you explain stuff, that makes it make a lot more sense.
Well, let me know if there's something that I'm not explaining that you feel like I should because something due to questions you get a lot or something. Because I know you probably talk to more people than anyone.
Just in case the one quarts don't come in after I drop people off, I'm gonna go to Sherwin-Williams. They have a shit ton, so I might just get some for a class tomorrow, just in case they don't come.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
I called around and they're the only ones.
No, that's smart.
Just because I know weather's on and everything, and I don't.
Yeah, no kidding. Denver to here, which is where they're probably coming from.
Yeah, exactly. So, rather be safe than sorry. We have this running right now, or we can use the big ones. We're doing soapstone.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you guys bored with the same techniques and same patterns until you hate me and don't ever want to come back.
Sorry, I'm standing right here.
I hope I can get this back to the back of the room. Okay.
Small or big again?
Come on, Rosa Parks. Let's go to the back.
I feel like
Oh, you're good. Take your time now that I'm over the table. I was more hurrying to get over the table.
Oh, okay.
That's good, dude. All right, we're going to mix the same way as we did earlier. So you guys know what to mix. Get your stuff out of the way so you have a room to mix again and do the exact same thing. We're going to be mixing charcoal powder now as our base color, though, so it's going to be cool. It's not black, it's not white, it's kind of an off, darker gray. The reason I like soapstone and the reason I hope you guys get this right is we talked about perceived value, right? Yeah, we did. We talked about perceived value. So soapstone costs about $180 to $220 a square foot to get installed. So if you want to add perceived value for free, it doesn't cost you any more to do different colors. Target a color that would have cost the customer a shit ton of money to buy naturally. Now, I see a lot of these hack-ass companies online, and I don't understand what the hell. I mean, they're Mormons, I guess, so whatever. But they're trying to, I shouldn't have said that I'm so glad I said that on a live. But they literally, I saw a guy coat something. I won't say his name, Mike, because he's an idiot. But he coated something, I think, 5 times to make Uba Tuba. Fucking Uba Tuba. I Uba Tuba for $39, $49 a square foot, depending on complexity, 12 years ago. So think about that. 12 years ago, you're $39 or $49 for some cheap fucking color. Don't spend 5 coats of product, I couldn't believe it, to target the cheapest fucking product you could possibly target. And then a lot of guys, they'll go into Lowe's and say, what do you sell the most of? And it's a smart question, and it's a question I used to want to know. What do you sell a ton of? But the reason I started learning that doesn't fucking matter is it wasn't what the customer wanted. It was what the customer could afford. So the customer would say, soapstone. Oh, that's a price group. What? Oh, that's going to cost me $22,000. Oh, how much does that cost? Well, that'll cost you $18,000. How much does that cost? That's $12,000. Well, we can get you this for $2,000. Oh, it's Uba Tuba. And then guys go try to target that. I would rather target soapstone or something that when a high-end customer comes in and says, man, it was $180. I can't afford even half that. And you're like, really? Half that? So $90 a square foot? Like, you're already starting out at $60. You're giving them a favor, doing exactly what they want. And think about, now you're not afraid to pour that 3 times if you have to, because you're profitable as shit. And I think low profit contractors are the scourge of our industry. All the guys that are out trying to beat us on price, they're not beating us on quality. And they fuck up our job. Then we show up and our customers are looking over our shoulders because they assume we're going to cut the corners the cheap guy did. So I want you guys to be super profitable from the get-go so you never have to make a bad decision that affects the customer negatively. Thank you so much. If you make money, you usually can make good decisions. You never see a broke contractor sticking around to make things right. Hey McNaggins, you want to go ahead and just mix like a big batch and we'll separate it and we'll do all the, what's that?
Are we pouring for 8?
Yeah, do 8 again. I want to see if we can get this right, just once. Huh? Maybe we'll do the white pearl, but before we do the pearl, we'll just run a clear and then we'll break yours and my bucket in half and I'll mix into charcoal for the number 2 mix and you'll, but I was wondering if you'd start a clear with like 96 ounces or whatever you think, like a high volume.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll do like half pearl, half
Yeah, this is definitely
charcoal.
some super concentrated. So, trans green and charcoal, right?
Yes, trans green and gold.
Oh, yeah, right.
Charcoal is already our base. Here's an extra trans green, no? Maybe?
Is that the one I gave you?
No, you gave me another one. Yeah, it's trans. I bet we're good, because that's a trans grain there too. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Every row.
We don't discriminate against colors here. That's really cool. I like that a lot.
She got a little sad face.
Oh man,
And I was gonna say,
I hate when I see shit on my piece that I'm like, if I hadn't seen that or had it pointed out to me, I'd have been really happy with my job. But now I see a big wiener or something on my tabletop that I just spent 3 days doing. Yeah, butthole. I've seen lots of buttholes on my countertops. So I think it's awesome. I think we're gonna sand some of these anyways, and it's gonna cut. We're gonna sand these on Thursday. So a lot of the colors you see that may or may not be perfect and they're intermixed, once you sand it, you're cutting off the top. So you'll lose a lot of those colors that are floating on top, and you end up with a really crisp, clean, natural stone look that looks way more natural than what you can get artistically right now. So I love the cut look, and it's also flatter than even a flat epoxy. It's really cool. Yeah, really awesome satin, yeah. And usually people are like, no, I'm not interested until they see it and touch it, and then they're like, that's all they want. Yeah, it's really clean. Getting a calf workout in?
Yeah.
Sometimes I try to do stuff like that just to
Maybe when
like
you're just
warm
standing.
myself up.
Yeah. Just to
Let's focus. That's so cool.
that little stand for that iPad.
Is that the new iPad mini we just got?
Is it?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Did you
Or
just get a new
yeah.
iPad mini?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was asking Kelsey, and she was like, "You."
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Does it work better?
I don't know. I haven't messed around with it. I didn't even really touch the other one, but
I just was saying, do we need a case? Or does it
Oh
not
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they need it because I think they leave it on that stand. Yeah. I have one for when I fly. That's a iPad mini,
yeah.
and with some of the software you can download onto it, it has a more advanced cockpit than if you had like a $4 million plane. It's crazy. The navigation, what you can do with an iPad, that if you were to go glass in your cockpit and it would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars like to finish, to change, you can just download the app on your iPad mini and you got it all. It's like crazy technology, yeah. And if you wanted to run a backup to that technology, you could run a smartphone right side by side.
Is this for you? Too?
Yeah.
So I'm mixing the pearl and the clear, right?
Yeah, when you separate that clear into 2 containers, I'll take half and mix half, and you can mix the pearl and I'll mix the charcoal for mine.
Oh, okay.
Because I'll be needing charcoal off of half of that.
Oh, okay. See, I got confused. I thought you were trying to say you wanted to put like a clear in it.
No. Especially like playing in bad weather, it could like save your life. Some of the awesome technology they have that
Yeah.
links right to satellite, exact location, altitude, speed, everything. Like, it's really crazy.
Technology now is
Yeah. It's funny, in the last 6-7 years, there's been a lot of things for aviation that have came out that are really similar to like phone apps and stuff that I think like they're not like but they sell it for so much money because it's aviation related, and I'm like, that's exactly like a game my kid plays or something, and they're using that same technology.
Yeah.
Do you know now there's a airplane game He's cutting a piece of OSB back here to throw where the TV stand goes to mount in the wall, so
Do I need to help him or?
he can do it. So.
First solo job so far?
Huh? So far. We'll see if you fuck this up. Yes.
How much on you?
Like 48 or something.
That's what I was thinking.
Let me see. You're good there. That's fine.
I'm sure I can give you 48.
No, I was thinking 30. I think I was wrong, and I think I needed to do 42.
Oh.
Or 32, sorry.
Yeah. Perfect.
You know, on the countertops,
What's that, sir?
instead of putting the wood, if I float it out, that would give it a better base.
With the gypsum like we were talking about?
No, say it's it's a new countertop,
Uh-huh.
new cabinets. Should I I can float it out, right? Like deck mud or fat mud, the countertops itself, then pour the epoxy over it. Would that give it a more of
I would never. You don't have a very good bond strength with that hot mud. So the only reason we use it as is a totally inert aggregate to just add to epoxy because the epoxy is bonding to the countertop. If you were to try to get gypsum powder itself with water, like troweling it normally like a wall to stick to your countertops, it's not going to be near as durable.
oh no, just like cement, like
Now you got moisture.
yeah, moisture.
Nothing with moisture.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you're waiting so long to let the moisture out that you would have been way faster doing 1,000 other things. And you're still not nearly as strong as epoxy. Epoxy is way stronger than any concrete.
Oh no, I need to go put epoxy.
You're still moisture and a lower bond strength. You're still a lower bond strength. It's
Go over with a shower pan, right? You know, you use that red guard.
uh-huh.
Red guard.
I don't do it
Yeah.
because our wall epoxy is better than Red Guard. Has a better bond strength.
Also, I don't want you.
No, we'll go over that. We'll cover it. We'll show you how. But yeah, I don't ever add anything water-based or anything to any project I ever do.
So on the countertops, you want something thick to go on it, so it has some strength on it.
The epoxy is better strength.
Yeah, but right over the wood.
Uh-huh. Because your epoxy soaks into that. We use MDF, same as that, but just a thicker sheet. The epoxy soaks into that, and you're really durable down into your piece. He's gonna mix concrete and pour it all over his countertops. I can tell when you're talking to somebody that's like, yeah, when you argue your point 6 times, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna go mix concrete, pour it all over, and then there's gonna be water. Then that will create bubbles in your epoxy. Oh, the one that looks like a Smurf shit on it. Yeah. You know what? I don't think anyone cares what's underneath that. We'll let him run it up to 100 now, because we're.
Kidding, we're going to 100.
Yeah, sorry, I changed it. We're gonna hit 100 now. We're going a little hotter each time, till you guys are hopefully comfortable with everything. You might not be comfortable with me, the way I touch you, make you feel, but hopefully epoxy you'll love. Holy shit. That piece warped. I knew as soon as they told me, oh, we cut this and there's still sap dripping out of it. I was like, well, this will shrink and do some funny stuff on the wall. Yes. Yes, sir.
You can't buy this stuff ready mixed in with the hardener and the.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
You can.
It's called a completed table.
I was gonna say.
That'd be amazing. I should just sell that just for fun. Like dehydrated water, you just add water.
How do the mixing ratio? It's 1 scoop into the alcohol, right?
That I'll go over that. That's a very good question, but it's something you have to be a little artsy. If you start getting diluted, you're spraying a lot of alcohol to a little bit of charcoal. Sometimes that's nice. If you have a big job, you kind of want some diluted spray so you can get a really faded charcoal look, so not big splatters landing in your top. So sometimes you want really concentrated speckles. It's kind of up to you guys. So your color to alcohol ratio when you're mixing your powders, that kind of has to be a feel considering the eye you have and what look you're trying to replicate or not. No, I just, when I start seeing it get too diluted for my look I'm trying to get, I'll add another 3-4 scoops of powder. When I start seeing, oh man, that's really concentrated, I'm clogging my sprayer, I'll add a little more alcohol and I'm just kind of balancing it constantly. A little more alcohol, a little more powder. You almost never can mix like a set amount of powder to a set amount of alcohol, use it all, and then fill it up again. It's usually, you're constantly just adding, And if that bottle sat for 20 years like that with the cap screwed down and you open it up, you'd probably have a little bit of dry stuff in there. You'd spray it through and it'd be perfect again. Yeah, the powder's not something that ages just because it's in the alcohol. So. God damn, look at that big badass forearm. Just so muscular. Dom, you have just become our model for me. Now, if you could do this in booty shorts. He probably has them on underneath. I'm going to have you wear a turtleneck tomorrow to cover up your neck and that tattoo.
Why my neck?
Just for fun to add something else to. So it looks so slutty. How hot are we? I mean, I don't know about us, but the epoxy.
10. Theirs is 92. 88.
Hurry up, Dom.
Oh no.
He's pretty good. Mr. McNick. You got the name right. Actually, all the staff here is amazing with the products. What's the temp on it?
99. Everybody has that 99 or not? Besides you. Please pick it up, Levi.
What is it?
93.
93.
And you guys are probably good.
Oh, you're good. Hmm?
You're at 99.7. You actually want me to come in with that tattoo tomorrow, by the way?
Oh, not at all. No, no. I was just joking because I looked in the camera and I'm like, it was just your arm. Like,
Just want to make sure.
it was good looking. Got your veins popping out.
Right, it's like perfect.
You and Ben been working out together?
No.
Bet you have.
I mean, we can.
Hit it now and see what it says.
I bet it's at 100.
All right, you're all probably 99 now, so
Yeah, we can start tomorrow. Got 1 up 3. Where do you? What's on the right side of you?
huh?
On the left side of you?
Yeah, over there. Over on the dirty Sanchez side of things.
Dirty Sanchez. Is that good or more?
What's that?
A little more?
A little more, yeah. You're good. That's perfect. Thanks, dude. Watch it about to drip. Y'all from Orlando, or where are you from? Orlando. Dude, I sold books there when I was a little kid. That was a tough town to... I kind of got in trouble, got told I couldn't come home for the summer, and right when I was like, what the hell, I can't go home, I'm stuck working on a farm all year, or what do I have to do? And this guy was like, oh, you'll make so much money selling books, and they were religious books. I was like, oh, okay. I sucked at selling anything. I knew that real quick. But you know where the best neighborhoods were the most ghetto gangster neighborhoods that some of the guys were like, what are you even doing here, man? I was too young and innocent to even be there. I'm like, I don't know, all these drug dealers kept just giving me money. They were all like, this poor white kid. Dude, they were the coolest people to me, were all the people that were like, you shouldn't be here. They were all like super nice. And all the rich neighborhoods, all the fucking rich white people, I never made a penny off of any of them. Get off my grass. Did you just walk on my grass walking up to my door? Maybe, sir. Guess what? I'm going to walk right across here in a second, too. Hey, he's working. The high one. Never thought we'd get him in here. Now I'm gonna spray my accents, like 80% of them anyways. I may add some, but I'm gonna spray 80% of my accents before I pour my white veining. Before I do my white veins with my white pearl, I'm gonna spray most of my accents. And my accents I'll kind of show you here. I can go a little heavy on my accents with soapstone because all soapstone is deglossed because soapstone is very soft. You can never get a soapstone really hard and scratch resistant, so they always just do it a really satin finish, so if it scratches you can't see. So since we're going to be sanding this and losing a lot of your color, you can go a little more overboard with your gold and your green. Can you see what that looks like?
They'll probably pass it back. There's some right here that you can pass it. No, because you're going to be torching it and you'll lose all those like streaks.
Yeah, you won't have any of that in there.
Where's the fire extinguisher? Always during soap time.
Reactions came out.
G'day, mate. Like that one? No? Was that a dumb joke?
That was pretty funny, honestly, just because I didn't expect it.
Your accents turned out good. I had a joke. Considering I tried to do Asian and it comes out like Indian, and I try to do Indian and it comes out like Blaxican or something totally. I can never get my freaking accent.
Blaxican, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I can never get my accent. I can't ever get my accents right.
Just gotta pull up your eyes.
I try to speak Spanish with my kids because they're like half Mexican and they won't talk to me. So it's like, it's not how you talk, Daddy. Don't talk like that. Okay. I was trying to be sensitive to your plight. I'm an equal opportunity dad. I'm just trying to get kind of like a muted mix of the colors so that when I sand, they're still, some of them are still evident. I sprayed pretty heavy because I want when I sand at least to see some. It's easy to sand them all right back out if you leave them on top. I love that, and then you'll spray clear.
I was going to say it breaks it all up.
Especially because it's so hot. It works more when the epoxy is super hot.
Soapstone usually has more of a vein, right? More veins than like a light marble or black marble.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. Depends on your piece of soapstone or your piece of marble, whatever, vice versa.
Usually when I notice you do the samples, it's like the soapstone usually has the majority of them. Or at least majority of them in like one, certain spot.
No, they usually have some really big crisp deposits or whatever, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know. I think usually if you shoot for the same look, you'll be fine. I did not.
Not this time.
Not this time. I'm even running a lot of accents that are my charcoal right on top of charcoal, with a little bit of white pearl in there. Isn't that last class? Somebody kept shitting their pants. It was killing me.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. When we were inside over there. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get away once, and it got whatever. I came closer to the source, and I went away from who I thought it was instead. And I was like, oh, it was not that person, and it killed me. Kill me. It's like, then I was trying to breathe, and
Just breathe.
at least when I do it, that's why I kind of want to tell you guys when I do, because I want to always be trusted.
It's a funny way to put it.
Like, I'll claim my shit.
I used to clam. I was like, what do you mean clam?
I know, I was like, wait, what?
Clam it like.
Clam.
Hold on.
Yo, your mic.
You're on a live.
You're right.
Be really thoughtful with your veins, guys. This is your last chance to work just with this. Don't underestimate your ability to be artsy. She did sound like she cussed.
Glad I gave you the new head. That new age head.
Does your girl watch the lives to make sure she doesn't check up on you and
It'd be funny if she did.
others?
She'd probably get jealous. I'm sure.
I'll do it.
She watches today's live and watches all.
I knew some people pretty well that I know I've never seen one. Ever.
Really?
Yeah. Don't hurt my feelings, huh?
It's perfect how like fast you do it and it just comes out like that nice sheet.
Yeah, it's just, you'd do the same. If you did it a little bit of this, you'd probably be just as good as anybody I've ever, you know.
The guy in the back corner, she has a really good
Yeah. Left. Supposedly they are. Why? What's up? You might ask Kelsey. Or, yeah, you can do it too. Yeah, you can probably respond. I don't know if they'll hear it very well.
See how mine is? I can still put black on it.
Oh yeah, I mean I use a lot of the base color. I use that for my accents a lot because I'm just scraping it right off from what. That's what I'm trying to see how crazy I can get and how simple I can make it look sanding it. Like put a ton of color when I. Remember guys, look for your sanded look. And remember this one, we don't really care what it looks like until we sand it. Make sure you work in enough colors because a lot of what you see on the top is going to be gone. Can you even tell? Should we mess with like color and lighting and contrast on that? Is that like, I almost thought about maybe doing that with the TV and see if I can get a clearer.
They do come with different color modes and ranges and stuff.
Do you think when it focuses on, like, do you think it's focusing on things other than the sample itself? The camera?
So I don't really know how those Sonys work, and it's a universal focus.
The camera?
Yeah, so it just focuses on everything. And it's Sony quality, so it's not, they're not like this.
Not that Sony quality.
Not this Sony quality. Those are handheld camcorders. They kind of got quality.
No,
They're
makes
good
sense.
for lives.
I didn't know if it focused mostly on the table and then we pop that up if it forces it slightly out of focus.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I think it's a universal focus and it's kind of blown up on the screen. But
Previous one, it was super washed out.
Huh?
On the previous sample, it was super washed out in the light.
Right.
You guys look like CIA agents.
Huh?
Yeah, the CIA agents.
Rachel doesn't have one.
Would it be beneficial if we didn't use black plastic on yours? Like at all?
Always use that white plastic.
I don't think it matters. I mean, I was just thinking maybe it's like not. I thought maybe since the piece was up off the table, it was focusing on the table and not the.
I'll try white plastic. Something's changing them anyways.
I don't know that that matters. It might actually make it not stand out as much. I think it'll help. I think it looks great. Hey, yeah. Who shit on your piece?
I know, it got too chaotic real quick.
Looks like mine.
I tried to do a couple of
That's
those
good,
pull-ups,
Sarah.
They dropped.
Tucker, good job. Sarah, I'm really proud of that. That's badass. The quiet, sweet person. If nobody liked Sarah and then they watched her Thanksgiving Day video, they'd same. Oh man, the best. Who was Mary Ellen was amazing. Just her daughter and I don't know.
Bailey.
I just thought it was sweet what she said. Fun to see like that people are actually thankful for stuff in their lives because I think that's the key to happiness is to be thankful.
It's nuts. Mary Ellen's daughter. I used to look after her at Dynamite.
Oh man, that's so.
Isn't that such a small
That is sweet. I think the key to happiness is gratitude.
Amen.
Even if you don't have much, you got something somebody doesn't have. Hey, I'm glad to see Bobby prepped his panels.
I know. He wrote 2 things on it. That's all he did.
No.
He just wrote where the tab was supposed to be.
Did he make a new tab?
I guess I'll just cut a big one and plop it on there.
I guess so.
We'll just grab a square, cut it in the chop saw, and I'll just take some old epoxy today, and we'll just lay it flat, lay that piece right there tonight, flat on that table, and I'll just take some epoxy and lob it in there, epoxy to epoxy, and we'll sand it off flat before it'll be good.
Oh yeah.
So. That's awesome. Drywallers cleaning up after he's doing. Buddy. I thought there was mud all over things, and then they. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to hate you. I thought I was gonna. Uh-huh.
Did it dry more?
I thought you were working on the plastic there for. That's nice and simple.
Huh?
This is nice and simple. That one too? Did he do that one? You did? Okay. The black one? That's yours? Cool. I don't know if sanding, it'll probably look better if you turn it upside down. That piece. That's the way to improve it.
No, that's wild.
Probably every time you touched it, Tucker was bumping it just to fuck with you. Thank you.
Dragging around these.
We match almost perfectly.
Heck yeah. I don't got such
I need to be pretty.
I need to grow a red beard.
Oh man, real women grow beard. Afraid?
Just shave every day.
Are you afraid of not being attractive? Trying to keep your. Stop being scared and embrace the beard. I actually do really feel bad for like older ladies. You see them balding and stuff. You're like, oh, that's got to be like to me. I was like, well, whatever. But to like a woman that's like tried to be pretty her whole life and you see them balding, you're like, oh, that's got to be. If looks are even slightly part of what matters to you, I can see that being really stressful. Dom's so beautiful. He just puts tattoos all over his non-covered. You pluck your eyebrows too, don't you? No.
You asked me that already.
I know. Trying to give you a complex. I didn't think you did, but
I don't think anything you could say could give me a compliment. I think I'm used to it by now.
you would be tougher. But I can be kind of good if I really try to give people a complex sometimes. But I can only do it if somebody I don't like.
Right. Do it. Now I gotta see
I
it.
can't do it. I have to not like somebody to be that mean. We'll start out with Jamie or Lamey or whatever her name is.
Should leave me.
Dude, I got called so many times growing up.
You did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or people used after this, or
I'm gonna let everybody go home early. I'm gonna let you guys go. Oh, you guys are already home. Hope you guys had fun today. Tomorrow we're actually pouring some really big panels. A big one in our main front office. We're pouring a big one for my dad's wall. He poured a white marble floor and he's putting a panel up. We're gonna put a white marble panel up, and pour our floor to it. So we're also going to be doing our front entryway floor prep tomorrow, so it should be kind of fun. So if you guys want to join us, tune in, and you'll see a lot of concrete prep and patching and fixing and sealing. So the drywall guys are not smoking so much pot, they forget to clean up their stuff the rest of the way. So we'll see. Hope you guys come back to join us. Finish up whatever you got to do today. Today was just kind of a getting your hands dirty and messing with it. Tomorrow we're going to start on some real projects. So I hope you guys feel comfortable tomorrow. We're going to fabricate an actual countertop. We're fabricating some walls. One's going to be actually pretty big for our front entryway. We want to have our whole floor be all white marble and go seamlessly right up the wall. So we're going to build white marble panels, set them to the wall. And this could be a big pain in the ass that doesn't work out very well. We'll see. And then we're going to pour our floor to it. So what's the worst that could happen? We fuck it up. So that it'll be fun. We'll do it together. So hope you guys had fun today. Does anybody have any class-specific questions?
When it comes to countertops and you have your backsplash, that some of them will actually come to it, about 3 or 4 inches, would you do them side by side? So you have
That's a good question. If you're pouring your backsplashes as well, I probably would not try to make them match, because I personally think nothing looks worse than trying to make something match that doesn't match and then it's a little bit off. I think it's better to pour them each individually. At the same time, I'd pour them at the same time, but just knowingly different patterns so that when you put them together, they look really clean. I usually notice you're sacrificing a little bit of your pattern on one to make it look good on the other, and then neither look perfect. So it'd be better to do both perfect side by side and then set of both. And we'll go over a lot of details, but I'd like you guys to get a full day of playing with the products, messing with the colors, messing with veining and stuff, so that everything else should make a lot more sense when you do it. So have fun, finish up. Just take your gloves off, dump them on the table. It'll be real easy tomorrow because we're just going to tear off all the plastic from the unmixed stuff. And the other stuff we'll just peel up the unmixed or the mixed product that's cured. It'll peel right off tomorrow morning, so you're not having to waste your time trying to clean tonight. So have fun tonight. Palisade, Smart, closest weed, or wineries. From Colorado National Monument, if you're like me, go take a badass drive. Don't get drunk or high, but it's a really beautiful drive if you're totally sober, but there's huge cliffs. Mountain biking, working out at Crossroads Fitness. What's a mountain biking place? Bicycle Outfitters. I don't know if they'll let you. Huh? Huh? First Street. Yeah. And usually I just say the name because Googling is probably going to get you better than my instructions. So Bicycle Outfitters, Diamond Coat. They're really good people. So hope you guys have fun. Thank you guys for today. I really appreciate your guys' time. And it was a very fun, very small class that I liked. It was fun interaction. Just to keep, just let them all cure here so that you're not taking wet stuff to your hotel or whatever.